Close-Up is brought to you by the Kia Sorento R, redefining the power of Kia.
There are things about your kids' lives which you have no control over. We've seen, haven't we, parents sidelined after discovering their 14-year-old daughter was having sex with an adult man. The same girl, with the help of her school, went to court to divorce her parents. So just how far do kids' rights extend, and can you as parents challenge any of it? Well, we've got the lawyer who literally wrote the book on this, but first, Johan Casanada tested how right-savvy our kids really are.
Hi, I'm Holly and I'm 18.
I'm Evie, I'm 17.
I'm Jake, I'm 16.
Hi, I'm Maya.
I'm Leo.
My name's Sonia.
I'm Holly.
I'm Connor.
I'm 16.
17.
I'm 17.
17, almost 18.
I like being young because you can get away with being naive and ignorant at times.
And the best thing about being young is not having to fend for myself yet.
The best thing about being young is being lost, being confused.
They know who they are, but do they know their rights?
What sort of rights?
You're allowed to vote at 18.
I know at 16 you're legally allowed to have sex.
Drinking is 18.
But what about some of the youth rights you may not know about? Let's start with the body. A girl can have an abortion at any age. Her parents do not need to be informed.
I think your body is your body at any age.
You're mature enough to make your own decisions about your body.
That's no one else's business but yours, and that includes your parents.
At 16, you can refuse to accept medical treatment. You can also get a tattoo without mum and dad's permission.
At this age, people do get tattoos, but it's a pretty big decision.
No, I've never wanted them, but it's cool that I could if I wanted to.
16 is the age where independence really kicks in. Not only can you get a driver's licence, there's a passport to apply for, and you can get a firearms licence.
Some people think that young people aren't old enough or smart enough.
Do you want to be making decisions for yourself and not having decisions made for you by other people?
At 16, you can work full-time, choose to leave school, and choose to leave home.
I watched my sister leave home and she came back about 3 or 4 times and did it again. It just didn't look like something I wanted to get into myself.
I know a lot of my friends who are in tough situations and have been forced to leave school or leave home.
I think it should be a right that people at 16 have because they might be in different situations.
At 16, a young person can apply for the Independent Youth Benefit if their relationship with their parents has broken down and they've had to move out.
It's there for young people that can't live at home safely, they can't live at home happily.
There has to be a decent reason for the fact that you're not living at home.
So it's not like they're just giving it to people that aren't doing anything.
So those are the rights. But at any age, young people can seek independent advice from youth health clinics and school counsellors. They're entitled to confidentiality, even though they may be dealing with important choices about their body or lifestyle. So where does that leave parents?
Kids my age should have rights of their own, but I think it is important that parents are still involved with them.
A parent's job is to let their child know that if something does happen, they can come to you for full support.
At 17 and 16, you know, it's important that you have caregivers looking after you.
I think parents should kind of realise that children aren't just children, they're people.
These young people say their rights help them to make the right choices, and they're hopeful about their futures.
And the best thing about being young is being able to do what you want.
The best thing about being young is not having to work full time.
And the best thing about being young is having lots of possibilities ahead of me.
So the kids know their rights, but what about the parents' right to know? Joining me now is privacy lawyer Catherine Dalzell, who wrote a guide for schools to help them handle these tricky areas. Catherine, thanks for joining us. What would be the most contentious area of kids' rights?
I think the most questions I get asked about is the fact that a young person can get an abortion without mum or dad knowing about it, but obviously access to contraception and things like that, but also discussing matters with counsellors, including perhaps risky sexual activity. Those are the sort of issues that come up.
And look, that is particularly in the health area that the parents still have a lot of difficulty with. I mean, you could say, for instance, have your 13-year-old daughter going off to have an abortion and you have no right to know. Is that correct? I mean, is there any exception to that?
First of all, a school counsellor may know about that, and because of the confidential relationship between them and the young person, then the counsellor is not in a position to disclose that to mum and dad. But also reminding parents that there are 2 consulting doctors that have to certify whether or not she is able to give informed consent to an abortion. So there are some protections there for parents, knowing that there is a process that the young person has to get through.
But parents do sense, or they do feel rightly or wrongly, that somehow they're cut out of the loop, that if you've got a child who's 13 going through something like that, that they should be involved as well.
Yeah.
Can they do anything, or is it just cut and dry?
Well, the counsellor's got a duty to talk, as do the doctors, have a duty to talk with the young person about bringing family and support in. And in fact, in any medical procedure, we're all entitled to have support with us. So there must be a conversation about that. If parents are concerned that a counsellor hasn't done their job, they can complain to the Health and Disability Commissioner.
Is there any area or any issue where counsellors or schools are obliged to tell the parents?
I want to really differentiate between the counsellor and the school, because the school is in a completely different position to the counsellor, and confidentiality is not guaranteed if the school knows about it. The counsellor is a health service within the school and has separate rules, but a counsellor can disclose to someone who can do something about it if the young person is at serious risk of imminent harm.
See, we had a situation in the story we did last night. The 14-year-old is carrying on with an adult man, the parents find out. But what disturbed a lot of people was that the school was helping her go to the court to effectively divorce herself from the parents.
That strikes me as a completely separate issue to confidentiality, and I'm curious as to whether the school was involved, was the principal involved. I wouldn't mind a wee bit more detail about that, because I'm not sure how they were helping her.
I suppose that also sometimes it's seen there's the feeling that somehow schools are in league with the kids to circumvent the parents.
That's not my experience at all. In fact, the schools and many teachers within the schools would love it if the counsellor would disclose confidential information from those sessions, because they too, if you like, in locus parentis, they'd like a wee bit more information themselves. But it's certainly not my experience that the schools are deliberately excluding parents. In fact, their role in their charter is to include.
Why is it so important for kids to have rights?
Because they are young people. And as we grow older and as we, develop and grow, some of the constraints around us need to change as we grow. And it's really, really important that young people start growing and developing and understanding systems, and it means taking risks, and sometimes they'll fail like we all do as adults.
Catherine Dalzell, thanks for your time tonight.